Hello, in this video I will be talking about my teaching philosophy. I want to read a little bit of the sections that I wrote, but I kind of want to explain more so what my thought process was behind this. So it is my belief that education is one of the most fundamental resources that should be provided to all children. Education in the K through 12 grades gives students the opportunity to learn social, mathematical, and English skills at the most basic level. Besides this, teaching goes way, or education itself goes way more in depth than just those subjects. I talked about how good teaching not only doesn't only happen in the classroom, if that makes sense, but it can happen anywhere. And what you teach those students is not, if it's done the correct way, it will go beyond the classroom. So what I mean by that is, I don't think teaching should be recalling. It shouldn't be recalling. It shouldn't be you giving a test out and the students ace it, and then once that test is over, they have no idea what they learned over the past couple weeks or couple months. I think what good teaching and good learning is having the student take that information, really get a good grasp of it, and then being able to not only hold that information, but also be able to further their understanding of that information. So then I talk about my two different perspectives. I have two different views. So I have the view of myself as a student, and then I have the view of myself as a teacher. So for the reason why I did this was because I feel like if you are not able to get into the student role, you will not really be able to fully understand what works best for your students. So I talked about what worked for myself, what I needed from my teacher, what I needed from classes, and then I talked about what I remember the most. And then I also talked about my teacher standpoint. So in high school, at the end of high school was when Common Core standards began to be implemented, meaning that I didn't get much of that student-centered learning or that student-centered teaching. It was more so teachers in the front of the class, you copy down whatever they have on the board, and then that's it. And as I reflected, especially like while I was writing this, I started thinking about, okay, when did I feel like I had the most control over my learning and over what I wanted to talk about? And that was mainly during big projects where we had to do our own research, where we had to provide our own examples, and when we had to present. Those times were very limited. I can recall the times I had to do the research myself or had to look up certain things myself. And because of that, I do feel like it is very important that we switch from that perspective of teacher being in front and giving all the facts and doing all the teaching to more of a 5E model where the student is learning, the student is teaching, the student is conveying their ideas and what they think they're talking about and what they actually are talking about. So I didn't mention the 5E format here, but I mean, basically, like, that is what I'm talking about. The framework should be student-centered. And then to close it off, I talked about just like trying to bring in all my ideas. And there's something I wrote in here that I think is very important. It says, teachers should be there for support and guidance, but not to give them all the answers. This can be done only when the teacher is structured and gives specific directions. Otherwise, you will leave your students feeling confused and unmotivated. Effective teaching also takes place when the teacher takes into consideration the cultural, socioeconomic situation of their students, as well as their disabilities, either physical or mental. Students are so much more than just these kids who come to your classroom to learn. They have things going on at home. They have different backgrounds. They have different knowledges. They all come to your classroom with different experiences. And for that, I feel like it is very, very much important that when you are creating these lesson plans, you are going in it with all of those categories in mind. Otherwise, not all of your students are going to be met with their needs. So yeah, that was my philosophy, teaching philosophy.